Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery, IIMFL and Smart Money Alliance. We get together each weekday morning at this time, just a little bit before 8 a.m., to talk with our distribution partners. Since we've launched the joint venture incubator model, it has been immensely successful, and we're continuously opening more joint venture incubator partners. Our trainings are applicable to all of our distribution partners, with the two primary roles being affiliates. Affiliates, it's a free role, it's a simple role. You refer in and you have no other responsibilities. You get paid from conversions. And then our joint venture partners are those that we're actually setting up small business incubators with. It's their business, clients are paying them, and we have a great revenue share model. Frankly, it's 50-50 split. So the purpose of today's specific training is going to be very applicable to both our joint venture partners and our affiliates. We have two topics we're going to cover today. The first of which is to review the low price business address proposition. And then the second is we're going to look at what we do when we're mentoring a client during week one of the sequence. So we'll get to that in a moment. Let's go ahead and start with what we see on the screen here at the moment. So what is it that you and I do? We help small businesses access capital based upon meeting credibility standards, right? Most small businesses, there's 28 million, there's more forming all the time, LLCs, C Corps, S Corps, DBAs, we track all those, we can share those leads with you. But the point is, there's an immense number of small businesses, and especially in today's economic environment, access to capital is very much a priority for many of them. So there's the problem. The problem is small businesses need access to capital. Well, what's the solution? Well, the solution isn't, oh, let's go get together and open a bank or go become a loan broker. What we need to do is be able to help small businesses qualify, because you can't just raise your hand and say, oh, I want 100,000, give it to me. No, you have to qualify for whatever the underwriting criteria is for a certain source of capital. That's what you and I do as technical advisors, is we help them become more financially literate. We help them build their loan package. We help them address credibility issues so they qualify. So what we know is that a key credibility issue for many sources of capital is having a commercial address, a business address. There are many sources of capital, including what we traditionally call business credit, where it's underwritten based upon the EIN of the business, not based upon the social security number of the owner or the owners. So certain types of capital, like business credit, absolutely require a commercial address. Now let's talk about addresses for a moment. There are post office boxes, right? You and I could go form a business today. We could get a post office box, and maybe we kind of masquerade it so it looks like a suite number instead of a PO box number. Does that work? No, it doesn't work. Every address is coded in the United States Postal Service database. A post office box is coded as a post office box, no matter how you want to dress it up. Therefore, that's going to be a red flag to lenders and extenders of credit, because if your business is entirely based out of a post office box, that makes you a little suspect. Now, that doesn't mean that it should be that way, but it is that way. So post office boxes, bad idea. Let's put a big red X through that idea. Next, couldn't we just use our residential address, right? I've got a home-based business. That's popular now. Well, to work from home is fine, but to have your business's address as your home address is another credibility problem. It's a red X. It doesn't work. It's not separating the owner from the business. So we're not going to be able to build business credit, and it's not separating the two. Well, what do? Do we go to WeWork or CoWork or Regus and get one of these virtual shared office spaces? Well, that used to work, quite frankly, but now that is highly suspect, because what they do is they have one address and then they share that address with many different small businesses. So when they go through and verify, it's coded then as a shared office space, and that is not seen credibly. Used to work a couple years ago, that started to change, and now it's not effective. So what's left? A small business to look as credible as possible, to have the ultimate access to capital, needs a commercial address, a unique commercial address. Now, that doesn't mean that the street number can't be the same. Let's think about the Empire State Building, right? Many, many stories high, many, many different office suites, but each suite has its own office. That works. Now, if everyone had the same street address and the same suite number, that doesn't work. That's the example I gave a moment ago with Regis and WeWork. So what we've done to help provide a solution to that problem is now we're offering a business address to small businesses. And so that meets one of those key credibility factors. It's very affordable. We'll talk about that here in a second. And it generates both a door opener for you and a great cash flow. So let's go through the proposition, and then we'll dig deeper into what's in it for you. So we'll make it a little larger here. Low price business address. You should be seeing my screen here. And we have added in, because a key benefit of having a business address is accessing capital under the EIN. So we've packaged that in as a perk. So it states, building business credit is an important part of operating and growing a business. A strong business credit score and profile can provide access to capital obtained under your EIN and increase the value of your company. A true business commercial address improves the credibility of your business and increases your access to capital. Most banks and lenders do not accept residential or post office box addresses, and shared addresses through virtual offices are often red flagged. Thus, every business should have a unique business address, and we're making that affordable and easy. What is the cost to the client? It's a little more than $40 a month, but it is paid in one annual fee of $499.99. We split that with you. It's a 50-50 split. So those of you that have already become joint venture incubator manager partners, this is a slam dunk, right? Because if we're splitting $500, if we round it off, 50-50, and we know that your license fee to set up a joint venture small business incubator is $250 a week, as long as we have at least one conversion of this very attractive proposition, which we'll continue to talk more about, we're at break even. So our break even for a joint venture small business incubator is 1. Think about another business that you can start, have the opportunity for significant rewards, and really no risk, because our break even is 1. And almost every small business, we told you, we can run queries off of our database of home-based businesses, home-based LLC, C Corps, S Corps, and even DBAs. We can give those to you. You can call them. They all need this, right? They may not realize they need it. We may have to educate them a little bit, but this is a slam dunk. And then again, what we'll provide for them, if they wish, it's optional, is we'll help them build out their business credit profile. So that's icing on the cake, but there's more benefits to come. So on the left-hand side here, we just reiterate one of our nonprofits. We have several nonprofits. I think you know that is BCLI, started back in 2016, has been a 501c3 since, I believe, September of 2016. So for 4 years now, we've maintained IRS 501c3 status. And our focus has always been in the past helping increase knowledge and access to business credit. But again, we realize that you can't build business credit if you don't have a commercial address, and many small businesses are lacking that. So this is a way to package that and take that to the market. As I mentioned, we do a 50-50 share with our joint venture partners. So it's a great deal. There's no cost to you. There's really no implementation, but it does provide then a client relationship. So those of you that have a desire to help them in other ways, you're in a really good position to, because once you have a client relationship, you might speak with them and they might decide to also enroll in the access to capital. Or they might start here and then realize, wow, I didn't know you had that full incubator where I can get my business phone number and my website and my QuickBooks and all the rest. So this might be the door opener. This might be the entry point for a client. And that's correct, Hassan. Each participant is getting a unique suite number. So it's the same street address as ours, as the Chamber of Commerce, which is 101 East Broad Street, but every participant has a unique suite number. Okay, now let's go through what's included for the client. So again, they get a unique business address. It is not a shared address. So we've talked about the reasons for that and the value of that. As their mail comes in, we'll scan that and send that to them at no additional cost. We will help them build their business credit profile. Now notice they're not having any additional fees for assistance in building their business credit. This here makes this a slam dunk, right? You can look at competitors. Let's look at Credit Suite. Great company. I have nothing but positive things to say about them. They're out of Florida. If you went to Credit Suite and said, hey, I need help building my business credit, you would pay thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars. In our case, they're paying only a couple $100 and they're getting the commercial address, which does not come with normal business credit building resources. Now, the true slam dunk is here in the red, and this is a revision to the flyer that I shared with you all this morning. So let's go through. It's important to realize that the address that an entrepreneur chooses for their business matters. And it matters for a few reasons. Number one, depending upon the state that they choose to form their business in and have their business address in, affects taxation. In Texas, there is no corporate state income tax. There's only a handful of states that are like that. I was talking to a client yesterday that's in Virginia. They pay, I think, 4 or 5% state income tax on their corporate profits. If they were to have their business in our incubator here, they would save that because there's no state income tax in Texas and a few other states, granted. So that's a benefit, not even listed here. The next benefit is it's important to realize that different geographic areas have tax subsidized economic development programs. I'll give you an unrelated example, and then we'll talk about two very relevant examples. Right now, if you and I were to move to Tulsa, Oklahoma, they have a program and they would pay each of us $10,000 just to move to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well, where does that money come from? It's a tax subsidy. It's tax subsidized. It's essentially a grant to encourage people to move to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it's a relevant example of how tax subsidies exist. So separate from moving to Tulsa, there is a tax subsidized program that's a loan. It's not free money, but it's a loan of up to $250,000 called the Chapman Fund, and that can be used to buy fixed assets, new construction, renovations, lease property, equipment, inventory, and working capital. This money is coming through the Chapman Fund. It is through an economic district. It comes from the taxpayers of that geographic area to encourage the development and success of small businesses. If you're not in that taxing district, no matter what qualifications you have, you cannot access it. It's a 14-county area. To no surprise, when we chose a location for our incubator, we put that pin in the map where we can access the Chapman Fund. Let's talk more about the relevance of this. Getting funding for a small business is challenging. And it's a little bit more challenging now than it was a year ago before the pandemic, because lenders are a little bit more cautious now because of the fragility of the economic system. The best place to get money for a business are through programs like the Chapman Fund. It's not coming through a bank. It's coming from a taxing district. They have the money. They want to loan the money. They're looking for small businesses to loan this money to. There's much less of a hurdle than going to a bank and trying to meet all the bank's requirements. So this alone is huge, is huge. It's a source of capital that the average small business off the street doesn't have access to. But if they participate in this low price business address program, which is only $4.99, we split that 50-50 with you as a joint venture partner. Now they meet that qualification because they're in the taxing district. Their address is matching. It gets better than that. There is a workforce grant. The workforce grant is truly free money. Most of the time we say don't count on free money. Well, this is free money. So it's tax subsidized, where small businesses can hire employees, and the cost of the employees, their wages, their taxes, their workers' comp, the benefits are all paid by a third party. This is huge. This will pay 100% of prevailing wages and cover all employment taxes. So what's the relevance? Small businesses often are constrained because they don't have enough working capital. There's many different uses of working capital, but one of those often is I need to hire more employees so I can have more salespeople or more people to work or implement or whatever the business model is. You and I are addressing so many of the issues that the typical small business has, right? Number one, we're getting them a true, unique commercial address. Number two, we're helping them build business credit so they can access capital under their EIN. Number three, we're putting them in a state with no state income tax. Number four, now they qualify for the Chapman Fund from a geographical perspective. And number five, now they can get free labor. Huge. So is this a pivot away from our full incubator? No, it's a low priced option. Obviously, all of these perks also exist if someone enrolls in the full incubator program, but they can just come in at this low price option. They pay you as a joint venture incubator partner $500. You keep half, we get half. We do all the work. We absorb all the expenses. So that is topic number one, is addressing this offering. So I'm going to look at the questions that you have here, and then I'm going to go on to agenda item number two. So Tucson asked about how is this address unique? And the answer is we assign a unique suite number. So I think we're clear on that. There are no additional costs, Robert, for this. So they don't have a weekly cost, a monthly cost. They pay this annually and they get this value proposition. It's a slam dunk. Slam dunk. Okay. And yeah, for the joint venture incubator itself, if you want to piggyback off of our address here, which is advisable because of all these benefits, we can do so. Or if you want to set your joint venture incubator up in a different market, like Will is setting his up in New Jersey, then of course this value proposition changes because the Chapman Fund doesn't work in New Jersey. The workforce grant doesn't exist in New Jersey. So we would have to take these items off. But certainly if you want to set up a joint venture incubator and place it somewhere else, that's fine. We just can't mislead people. We would have to take these items off the flyer that you would use. Thank you, Barry, for that question. Okay, going through your questions here. So Marcus asked, he's an affiliate, and Marcus doesn't want to become a joint venture partner, which is fine. Not everyone's cut out to be in that, or I didn't mean to word it that way. Not everyone is a good fit to be a joint venture incubator partner. It's fine to be an affiliate and remain an affiliate. And as an affiliate, you make $100 from each referral. But Marcus's question is, can he, as an affiliate, join the incubator and take advantage of all these benefits? And the answer is yes, as long as it's a legal business. It doesn't matter if you have a financial literacy company, a muffler shop, a bakery, or what have you. So yes, Marcus, you can enroll and access these same benefits just like any other client could. And then you can have people that you hire that make these calls for you and help you make more sales. Absolutely. Okay, so now we need to get over to learning objective number two on the agenda. So let's share the right screen, and hopefully you all now see the IIMFL website. So just to show you where we're at, we have the IIMFL website, and we're on the small business certification. Agenda item number two is we want you to be properly prepared if you're a joint venture incubator manager to implement clients properly. So if the client comes in and enrolls in the full incubator, which is a different tab here, then their first 4 weeks is as explained here. In contrast, if they come into the Access to Capital program, not the incubator, so they're getting assistance in accessing capital, no upfront cost, guaranteed $100,000 capital raise. Again, they are going to start by going through this 4-week process. Therefore, if you are a joint venture incubator manager, you're responsible for mentoring clients through this 4-week process. Now, yesterday's training, we did a highlight of the big picture across the 4 weeks. Today is Tuesday's recording, so we're going to talk about week 1 responsibilities. Wednesday, week 2, Thursday, week 3, Friday, week 4. So let's talk about what's happened so far in this example. So as a joint venture incubator manager, we've got that set up. You have a landing page. You've referred someone to your landing page. They've come through. We pick that up. We send them a DocuSign agreement, whether it be for access to capital and or for the full incubator package, whichever the client's wanting to do. We've executed that. Then we send them a company profile form. The company profile form we send to them also through DocuSign. It's not another agreement, it's just a form. And so we use DocuSign because it's easy to manage and track. And so that company profile form collects information about that client. They're no longer a prospect at this point, they're a client. So we're going to ask things like, well, what's the name of your business? Have you formed it yet? Are you pre-launch? Do you have any revenue coming through your business? Is your address residential, post office box, commercial? You can see the relevance. So we're asking a number of factors so we can manage that client properly. So that client profile will come into us, we'll load it into the system, and then we're going to email it over to you as a joint venture incubator manager. So now you see the data set for your new client. And again, that client could be enrolled in the full incubator, or they could simply be in the Access to Capital program. We're going to secondly send them an email that says, okay, it's time to start scheduling your mentoring sessions. You should have weekly mentoring sessions, and here is your mentor. So for example, Annette is on our call here. So if the client came through Annette's incubator, then of course Annette would be introduced as the mentor, and then we're going to have Annette's Calendly link, and so we're going to send that to the client, and then the client is going to be scheduling 4 weekly visits with you for the mentoring. As we talked about yesterday, you can set your Calendly up either in 15 or 30-minute increments. It's up to you. But so that's the background. So now all of a sudden, your calendar, you're enrolling clients, you're making money, but we have clients we need to mentor. And so you're going to be managing your Calendly. And for instance, today, for me mentoring, I have clients, let's see, that start, let me refresh and I'll give you a feel for my day, because I'm running one incubator, right? So I'm mentoring clients, and then we have currently 9 joint venture incubators. And so each of you have your own Calendly, and we're forming more. So I start at 11 o'clock Central today, and I have 4 appointments, one at 11, one at 11:15, one at 11:30, one at 11:45. And then I have a 2-hour break for lunch, and then I start at 2 p.m. Central. And every 15 minutes from 2 o'clock all the way until 10 p.m., my last scheduled calls at 9:45. So I have 8 hours, 32 clients I'm mentoring this afternoon. My incubator is a little bit more mature than yours. Yours is just starting, but ultimately either you or someone on your team will need to have availability to mentor your clients for the 4-week process. Now, once they're through the 4-week process, you no longer need to mentor them. Then they're going to move into the funding process. So you'll check your Calendly. You'll see that you have a mentoring client today. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to certainly look at that profile form that we sent you. You'll always have the profile form before they've been able to schedule their mentoring session with you, because we don't send them your Calendly link to schedule the mentoring session until after the profile form has come back. So you're going to review that and just be prepared for the call. The week 1 call is the easiest because they're just starting the process. What they should have done is they would have received an email that let them know that this week, first week, we're learning about business planning. They would have been encouraged to watch this same on-demand YouTube video, like you can watch by clicking here. They will have been provided the participant guide, which accompanies that, and then they have the call with you. So really, there's only a couple goals for that first call. First of all, is to welcome aboard. Thank you for allowing us to help you with your capital raise. We're going to be visiting once a week over the next 4 weeks to make sure that we get your loan package put together. Will hopefully help you improve your business financial literacy. But ultimately, we want to help you meet the credibility factors so we have access to the broadest set of funding sources and get you as much funding as you want and need. So then you could just confirm, have you had access to your live plan? Without doubt, we've invited them to Live Plan. Live Plan is a cloud-based software that we build their business plan and financial projections in. You are not responsible as the mentor of the nuts and bolts of coaching them through Live Plan. That would be too much. Instead, you're just making sure that they know how to access it, that they've logged in. If not, and they need help, let us know and we'll help them with that. But what you're going to do more importantly is then review that profile with them. And what I'll tell you is that about 9 out of 10 clients that come to us don't have the credibility factors that they need to go to funding, which makes sense. That's why they need us, and that's why they're working with us. But oftentimes they don't have a commercial address. And so just as we talked about, you and I, as a joint venture incubator team, we have a couple resources to help them resolve their address problem. And it's either what we just looked at, which is the low price, just a standalone address, $4.99. We split that 50-50. That's a great start, $250 in your pocket. Now they have a commercial address. Or they can go into the full incubator program. The full incubator program, they're going to pay $999 up front. That goes to you. We do a 50-50 split. There's a little bit of expense offsetting, but it's 50-50 split of the net off of that. And then they're also going to be paying $99 a week to be in the full incubator. It's not cheap. It's a great value when you look at all that's included. That's why we have positioned you to have the low option, which we just looked at, the business address alone, or the high option, the full incubator. So what's the point? Week 1, welcome them aboard. And then start focusing on, number 1, have you accessed your live plan? Yes or no. If you need help with that, then you refer them back to us. But secondly, we need to address that first underlying credibility factor. If they don't have a true commercial business address, you need to start coaching them and offering them a solution to that, which again can be the full incubator package or just the business address. And then you let them know that they'll be back. They should schedule a call with you a week from then. And they can go ahead and just schedule all 4-week calls using your Calendly at one time. There'll be different topics each week. So on tomorrow's training for you and I, we'll go through what happens on week 2. There's a lot more that happens on week 2 than week 1. But in summary, what do you do on your week 1 mentoring call? Because they've scheduled with you via Calendly. You've either set it up as a 15 or 30-minute session. That's up to you. What are you going to do? You're going to welcome them aboard, number one. Number two, you're going to make sure that they have logged into LivePlan. It's not your goal, your responsibility to coach them through all the nuances of building a business plan or using LivePlan. You're just making sure that they've had been able to access it. And then thirdly, what you're doing is addressing that first credibility factor, that if they don't have a commercial address, if they're working off of a residential address, a post office box, or even a shared office, then you need to let them know that that is a credibility gap. Now, they may say, I don't want to change it. I work from my home. My business is set up from, it's registered with my home address. I just want it to be that way. And you'd say, well, that's fine. You're the customer. That's fine. You just need to be knowledgeable enough to realize, literate enough, as we talk about financial literacy, that there's some sources of capital that you won't qualify for then. And if that's okay with you, that's fine with us because you're the customer. But if you do want to be able to build business credit where you're getting access to capital under the EIN without personal guarantees, then we've got to shore up this credibility issue, and we need a real business commercial address. So that's the way I present it. I give them the option. It is up to them. I'm not forcing them. I'm not persuading them. They don't feel like they're being sold something. I'm just saying, here's an option to resolve this problem that you have. And in most cases, they didn't realize it was a problem, but they're coming to us to be able to access capital. It's your and my responsibility to educate them accurately and ethically and completely, and to say, well, there's some sources of capital like business credit under the EIN that you're not going to get if your business is not set up credibly, and the address is at the nucleus of that. All right, so let me look at the questions that each of you have from the second part of today's topic on how to properly mentor a client during week 1. And then again, on Wednesday, we'll talk about what you do on week 2. On Thursday's training this week, we'll talk about week 3. And then on Friday, we'll finish up with week 4. All right, so let's look at the questions that you have regarding this topic. All right, so Gregory, you've seen us pivot a little bit. So in our model now, we've really simplified it. So we have 2 roles. We have affiliates and we have joint venture incubator managers. So Gregory, you need to decide which of those 2 that you want to be. Financial literacy educator is a role now placed under an incubator. And so you need to figure out which incubator. If you're a financial literacy educator and you don't want to run your own joint venture incubator, Gregory, which is fine, we need to place you under one of the 10 incubators that exist, and there's more forming, of course. And so then you'll work with that incubator manager and make sure that you have the tools and resources you need. So that's the first decision, Gregory, is we need to decide, do you want to really fall over into the affiliate bucket, or do you want to be in more of a leadership and frankly a more lucrative role and running your own incubator? And then we can make sure that you're plugged in with someone that's going to support you, train you, and provide you the resources. Thank you, Gregory. Okay, EJ, who's one of our joint venture partners, asked about LivePlan. So let's dig more into that. So from the moment that we onboard them, we create, and we pay for, by the way, it comes out of our pocket, not of yours. We create a LivePlan account for each client. And that's true if they're going through the access to capital, the no upfront cost, 100,000 guarantee. If they're going through the full incubator package, once we have their basic incubator set up, then we'll start this 4-week sequence. Specifically though, EJ is asking about LivePlan and what the responsibility of the mentor is. Really, your responsibility is just to make sure that they've been able to log in. Beyond that, LivePlan is very intuitive. There's instructional videos, there's examples, there's templates, and all we're asking them to do is do the best they can to get their content in to LivePlan. So if there's an area they don't understand, they're not sure about, leave that alone. Once we get through the 4-week process, then our funding committee will review their entire package, and then we can further assist them if necessary. Now, with that being said, though, EJ, there's one specific area that you will want to bring their attention to. So within Live Plan, there's an area that's called financing needed, and it's at the very bottom of the executive summary. That is the one area that you want to make sure that they focus on, and I should have mentioned this earlier, because that's where we can look to see how much capital they're looking to raise and what they propose to use it for. So that one section. So if you all haven't gone through the process yourself, we should take you through it so you understand it. But other than that, Live Plan should be self-sustaining. It's very intuitive. And if they don't know what to put into a given section, just simply instruct them, leave it blank for now. Once we complete the 4-week process, the funding committee is going to review your whole package, including the Live Plan. And if there's additional work needed on the business plan or financial projections, we'll help them at that point. So that's the answer to your question, EJ. I know some of you that were mentoring previously were getting so involved with the Live Plan, it was really bogging you down. But again, I mentor more clients than any of you do, and I don't get bogged down with that. I just make sure that they have access to it. I make sure that they understand that the financing needed section is mission critical, but pretty much anything else, they should just do their best, and then the funding committee will review it once we get through the 4-week sequence. And so, yes, Robert, I'll send over. For those of you that have joint venture incubators, we need to, if you are life insurance licensed, we need to get you appointed so we can write the return of premium policies, and I'll get that contract over to you, Robert, here this morning. Okay, does anyone else have any questions on agenda item number 2 or number 1? So Toussaint's got a question on the first topic, so we'll go back to that. So Toussaint is certainly seeing the value proposition of really 3 things we've talked about. Since we use a business address that's in Texas, there's no state income tax. So Toussaint's asking, well, if you're not in Texas, can you get that benefit? No. And then he's also asking about the Chapman Fund. It has a specific geographic area. It's a tax supported program that's applicable only to 14 counties in East Texas. Obviously, we chose to be located in one of those 14 counties. And so if the business isn't based here, then they won't have access to that. And then the same for the workforce grant. So these are perks that we make available to clients that are either going through the full incubator package or at least the low price business address. Thank you, Toussaint, for the question and clarification. Okay, so I think we've covered a lot on 2 topics. We reviewed the very strong value proposition here. And if you were on the fence about, I don't know if I want to become a joint venture incubator manager or not, hopefully this sealed the deal, right? Because you see how strong of a value proposition it is. You see that the client pays a very reasonable fee, and you know that as a joint venture partner, you're getting a 50-50 split of that. So even if we were entirely unsuccessful and all we could do with your joint venture incubator is find 1 client per week for this offering, you'd be at break even. Now, who wants to start a business to be break even? The purpose of a business is to generate profit. I know that, and you know that. But in terms of a risk perspective, 1 client a week would be break even. Now, of course, what we're going to do even with these clients is continue to look at other credibility factors that we could help them with and be able to help them more and generate more income, like key person policies and so forth. But the bottom line is just 1 of these a week makes your incubator break even. Anything more than that, you've moved into profit. All right, so thank you all. We will get back tomorrow and we'll go through the mentoring tasks and responsibilities during week 2 of the small business certification. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. See you soon.